Good morning, everybody. Rainy Friday here. I thought I'd make a video, and what do you know, my auto rotate starts working again. Might be a good day after all. I haven't made one of these videos, kind of how I do things, in a long time, because I've been kind of out of commission for a little bit, but I thought I'd get back into it. Thought I'd talk about how I make these on these little machines. I mean, I'm not expecting you guys to actually want to make these exactly, but maybe just my frame of thinking can help you out on setup and the process. Drinking a little coffee here. So first off, I can't stress enough on getting your vise. I do everything out of the vise on this process. So I can't stress enough on taking your time and getting this thing set up perfectly. You got to get this bottom surface perfect, and you got to get this back surface lined up perfect. Even if it takes you all afternoon, man, it's not wasted time. It's better to spend extra time on your initial setup than it is to spend extra time having to remake something because you didn't spend the time on the initial setup, if that makes sense. So anyways, I set up my vise and I do not touch it. This is my setup for the entirety of making this. I try to take as much human error out of it as possible. And I try to keep things simple. So, I think about the processes I have to do, get my initial setup done, and I don't have to worry about resetting up exactly, because on some of these cuts, just being out of hair is going to show. So first off, I mill the two flat sides of it to get what I want, which was like 0.248 or something. So I really just skimmed the surface. Then I mill this bottom cut right here, that bottom flat. And I do that first because I use this edge right here as my alignment so that I can make all these match. And I set up in here with that edge pushing up against the vise right there, and that is my alignment for making everything match up. And I use, I'm sorry guys, I'm not prepared. I use these, get you a set of these, very handy. A little machine shop has those, so that I can set my height up. I can be above my vise just enough to do my work. So then I've got that bottom edge, I've got my alignment, I can get all of these at the exact same distance from left to right. Then I can drill my holes. I do one hole at a time. I set up for that hole, and I do that one hole for all 9 pieces that I just made. Then I set up for that hole, and I do the same thing for all 9 pieces. Every cut that I make, I set up for it, and I do it in all 9 pieces. Last hole, then I do all 9 pieces. Then I get these 2 cuts. That's just a round cut. That's an angled cut. I used an angled bit for that. I don't have that one out to show you, but like I say, I try to keep everything as simple as possible. So setting up like that with my angled bit, I get all of those. By using an angled bit, instead of changing my head to get the angle, I don't have to worry about human error in setup. I don't want to change things unless I absolutely have to. So after I've gotten the bottom flat, the holes, the top angle, the bottom round cut from just a regular mill bit, the side cut of a mill bit, then I get this top flat all the way across. You can see there's two different heights there. Then I can go in here and using this same edge on the bottom to get my alignment so everything matches up. I'll go in there and match that up. And I'll get this cut, and then I'll get this top flat. So then I've got all the basic square work done. So now I've got two angles here. It's not very noticeable until it's on the saber, but starting right here, there is a 4-degree cut right there. And the only reason I did that 4-degree cut was to make these cuts on top look like they do. I try to use different shapes, combine different shapes and angles together to get different looks that normally wouldn't be able to get on these little machines. So to get those without changing any of my setup, I make these supports. So there's my 4-degree, and I will lay that in there just like that, and that will mount on there. And I have this backstop here so that I can push them all in to the same, so that everything will be identical when I do all the different pieces. So that allows me to get the exact 4-degree cut between all 9 pieces, and it will also allow me to get these cuts with the round nose bit that follows all the way through and kind of fades out right here. Then I made another one, 11-degree. That's my bottom cut. So you can see there, I machined that out with the clearance so that my piece can fit in there, and the backstop will come right up on that. Because again, I need all of these to be identical. So I can push that in there, get that seated in there, and push it back to my backstop so every piece will be identical. And I can get my 11-degree cut on that. So by using these templates and plates, you know, one, it's more consistent. I don't have to worry about setup and human error. You know, so that just really worked out for me. So one guy asked me how many processes. Well, you know, if I count, because, you know, this one hole is a process. That's another process. That's another process. So I don't know how many processes. And then, of course, you know, I milled that out right there. I still have to do a little bit of work on these, but this is, for the most part, it. You know, I don't know if this is really informative. It's more of a frame of mind on dealing with this on these small machines. And, you know, I don't have the 5-axis equipment or nothing like that. So I try to take advantage of different shapes, combining different shapes. Like, for example, here is one bit that I use. I think that's a 20-degree. Now what I used, I forgot to talk about this cut. That cut right there, I do that last. And this is what I use. This is a 7-degree bit. That 7-degree angle combined with the 11 here and 4 here gives that shape, the end result. And the round nose cut going through here, all of that combined is what gives this. If I just did one of those cuts, it wouldn't look near as good as having all of those combined. So setup's super important. You got to be aware of your machine. These machines are not perfect. You know, you got to sometimes do a little shimming. Let me see here. Yes, I still have a mess. Buy you a set of filler gauges from Advance Auto, AutoZone, wherever you go to shop. Take them apart, and you got all kinds of shims. If your mill has an issue with being just right on its bed, then you can put one of these shims up under one side of your vise to get it just how you want it. Buy some heating and air metal tape. That stuff's like 4 thousandths thick or something like that. That stuff can come in real handy for doing some a little bit of shimming. If you just out like a hair, just put a piece of tape on either under your one side of the vise or wherever it needs to be. I use that stuff a lot. Even painter's tape, I think, is about the same thickness. You know, somewhere between 3 and 4 thousandths. That stuff can come in real handy. But do take your time on your initial setup. Try to plan all the work that you have to do. Take a night or two and think about it. You don't have to rush. Think about all the different cuts that you have to make. What would be the most convenient to do first and what is the best to do last. Have it all planned out. Get your one setup. Try to take human error out of it because we all screw up. And it's tough for humans to duplicate a setup sometimes. Because a lot of times it doesn't matter, but if that setup isn't just right, the way those two cuts end up will not be right. And it shows. Just a hair out and it will show. So you do not want to have to be messing with different setups. Get the vise the way you want it. If you have to make a jig or something so that you don't have to readjust your vise, do that. It will take longer. It'll feel like a drag, but in the end, it'll pay off in how your work looks. So, anyways, guys, I don't know. This might be beneficial to some of you. Some of you might be scratching your head like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Anyways, have a great weekend, and may the force be with you.